Hey everybody, welcome to BSC Talks episode 3, coming to you from our awesome new studio. So still a little bit of work in progress. We've got some mics that we're going to be doing right now. We're still using lavalier mics, but I've got some cables that are coming, so this sounds a little bit better, looks a little bit better across the board, and hopefully it gives you good content that you want to hear. So today's video, we're going to be talking about handguns. We're going to start off with some knocking the rust off from the range that Andrew and I did this week. And then we're going to segue that into, if you could only have one handgun, what would it be and why? And how would you outfit it and why? So we'll start off with some of the training Andrew and I did this week in the range. So we started off with doing some drills that you use mostly for defensive carry, but they're practical application for shooting competitions too. Mechanics are very similar as far as from the draw, acquiring your sights, hitting your desired point of impact, and Jesus Christ, are we rusty. Andrew has a father of 2 young boys and hasn't had time to get in the range very much. And don't get me wrong, this is a perishable skill. If you shot lights out, 5 years ago and haven't picked up a handgun since then, forget it. You're not even close to where you were.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like starting over almost.
Yeah, which we found out yesterday. So a couple of the drills, and we're going to clip in videos here of us doing them so you can get some real world, like this is real times, real splits. We've got a pro timer that we were using and we were calling out most of our shot times when they weren't embarrassed. But
we left in some embarrassed.
Oh, we're going to clip those at the end because they're really funny. But one of the first drills you can do, and the nice thing is here at Buckeye Shooting Center, you can draw from a holster and engage, and you can do rapid fire in our range. I know a lot of ranges don't allow that. You just have to be not ranger qualified, Jesus Christ. You've got to be range certified to draw on the range, which doesn't take that long, and we can facilitate that Monday through Friday.
Yeah, we just do like a little safety class that anybody can take and pass, and then you just have to understand the rules so we know that you're being as safe as possible out there.
Yep, insurance companies are dicks, and they require certain things, and for us to allow drawing on the range from our insurance company is we have to certify people to be able to draw. But nonetheless, if you have any questions on that, just see our range desk. They'll be able to help you out. But one of my favorite drills to do is on a timer. So beep to draw from a holster, punch out at 20 feet or so, and try to do headshots and see what your times are. Industry standard for that is around 1.25 to be really good. We started off yesterday like 1.5.
A little slow.
Yeah, I mean, a quarter of a second doesn't seem like a lot, but it is
a quarter of a second. It seems like a lot in a gunfight.
Yeah. So we did those. We clipped those in. A couple of other things we were doing too was there's a trendy, I don't know what you call it, shoot that's going around on the gram and from the gun tubers and whatnot, which is at 21 feet. It's draw, shoot 4 rounds at an IPSC target, hitting all A zones, and the desired time to hit is 1.4.
Pretty fast.
We got it. I think my fastest was 128, and I think your fastest was 135. But it took, I don't know, about 10 times of getting and working the times down.
It definitely took a lot of practice, and even with the nice speed that we were able to accomplish, I still don't think that we were repeatable on accuracy.
No, because it seemed like, at least for me, I would either get the draw down and time to first shot was really good, and then my splits between those 4 rounds were dog shit, or my time to first shot was really slow, but my splits were really good. I never seemed to be able to put the two together, and I was still getting under that 1.4 after, I don't know, like I said, 10 attempts or so. But given enough practice, enough work, I'm confident we can probably get that down to like 1.1.
Just more practice and more shooting the gun that you're the most comfortable with, which is exactly where we came up with the idea for what we're going to be doing today.
Yes, which I'm very excited about. If you know anybody who's been in the gun industry long enough, you know that people have passion, and people are loyal to a fault with certain brands for one reason or another. For me, when I look at a handgun and I want it to feel like an extension of my arm, I want everything to line up perfectly, and I think the perfect expression for it is to feel like an extension of your arm, or feel like an extension of your hand anyway. So that gets us into, if you could only have one, what would it be and why? So Andrew, you have a pile of junk over there on the so why don't you go ahead and talk to us about what your pick is, because you don't remember, you only get to pick one.
Right.
And you have to tell me, A, why you picked it, and then B, how you would outfit it. And this is to keep in mind. We had this discussion together. Is it like apocalypse into the world, or is it I only get to ever have this one handgun for a reason? And we kind of came down to it's a little bit of both,
Right.
because if you only have one, wouldn't it be the same thing for both?
Exactly. The question is when push comes to shove and you're forced to slap one gun on your hip and go and just face the world, whatever that may entail, what gun are you taking? What do you feel the most comfortable with? What do you have, maybe the most experience with? What is just the go-to? And I was telling Zack, I don't really subscribe to I'm going to take a Glock because there's Glock magazines that will litter the streets in the apocalypse. It's like, that's the stupidest idea ever. I'm going to go into this with my own support system, my own equipment, and, I'm not a big Glock fan. So I started thinking about it, and I was like,
why does that feel like an attack?
It's not an attack.
Because these are not Glocks.
It's not an attack or anything directed towards anybody individually. It's just...
I feel like you have a vendetta against Glock.
No.
You are a Smith guy.
I'm a little bit of a Smith guy. So throughout the years of shooting, I've bought dozens of handguns, and I seem to just keep coming back to the Smith & Wesson M&P. It feels perfect in my hand. I lift it up, and it's exactly what you said. It just feels like it's an extension of me. My hands, they reach everything exactly the way they need to. I can pull the trigger exactly the way I should. I own a wide variety of models. I have tens of thousands of rounds across these platforms. I have some very customized guns. I have some one-offs, some ones that were made by Smith & Wesson Custom themselves for fancy competition shooting. And I have some plain, boring M&Ps that are just meant for kind of everyday general purpose use. And I love these guns. I can't get enough of them. So I told Zack, I was like, if I had to just pick one gun, it would probably be an M&P 9 2.0 compact with the more modern trigger and the more modern sights and the more modern textured grips with night sights. And I'd probably be putting a TLR1 HL or a TLR7 flashlight on it.
You don't get to do either or. You have to pick one.
If I had to pick one, I'd be doing the TLR1 HL. I'd be doing the bigger flashlight on the smaller gun.
Why not a Surefire?
It's a personal preference thing. I've used Surefires quite a bit, and I've heard a lot of people say that the Surefire is more durable than the Streamlight, and that's why they prefer it. The Streamlight ergonomically works better for my grip and the way that I hold the gun. I find the switch on the Streamlight is so much more streamlined for me to aggregate, pardon the pun. But it just feels more natural. When I need to use a light on a gun, which is not always, but when I need to, the Streamlight feels the best.
Well, if you ask Bill Wilson, you never need to use it.
You never need to use it. When was the last time it was dark?
Yeah.
I mean, never.
Jesus. Don't even get me started on that shit.
But I would go with the compact. 15 rounds is more than enough. It still has the ability to accept the bigger magazines. The full-size light does a lot of work there. The night sights are absolutely fantastic. The actual gun itself comes right out of the box with an amazing textured grip. The ergonomics are pretty much perfect for me, at least. And I would trust this gun with my life. I mean, I've never once had an issue with one of these guns. I've gone through many of them, lots and lots of rounds, lots of iterations, different generations, and every single one of them has made me like it even more. So if I had to pick just one gun to continue to practice, to continue to train with, to use as my all-purpose everything gun, that's what it would be. It'd be a M&P 9C. So absolutely.
All right. Well, shifting gears a little bit. I am a CZ fanboy, and I have been for a very long time. Don't get me wrong. I own Glocks. I don't own a single. Well, that's a lie. I've got a Smith behind me. I've got a Victory behind me that I shoot for a 22, but
we won't count rimfire against you.
Okay. The Smiths, I'm not a huge fan of for whatever reason. I just CZs. The first time I picked up a CZ P10, it felt like a lock and key met, and it just fit perfectly. So I've got a bunch of CZs here. So to where, because you always need a backup.
And a backup for your backup.
Yes. So my bread and butter, and this has been in videos before, and I'll talk very briefly on why, but this is my favorite gun on the planet to shoot. It is a P10C optics ready, but was not optics ready from the factory. So this is before optics ready guns became famous. And when this gun I had done, that was done by Jaegerworks, they had to direct mill for an RMR footprint. So there is a real rear dovetail back here that actually is for the rear sight that sits in front of the optic housing. That's because when this gun was originally built, it was built for an RMR.
Right.
The SRO has a hood on it, which does not allow to have a rear sight in there. So I just have a weird empty dovetail that does nothing right now.
So what once was a really cool carry gun then evolved into a race gun.
Kind of.
Right.
So to keep this relatively short and sweet, P10C, specifically this gun right here, it's got a lot of work done to it. It is a textured frame that's been stippled by Jaegerworks. The slide's been cut by Jaegerworks. It has texturing that runs across the rib on the side and the top of the gun, so you can get really good indexing on there to rack it in front of the breech. I have a Parker Mountain comp on there, which reduces my recoil by like 30 or 40%. It's an insane amount. So that's the gun. It has an Apex trigger in there because I am a trigger snob, and when it comes to the duty trigger, the Apex trigger gives you just enough of a relief on the break and a shorter reset, but doesn't make it like a competition trigger.
I've used Apex triggers in my Smiths for years.
Well, Apex is a company because they made the trigger for the SD9 because it was such a piece of shit.
I absolutely believe it's a phenomenal trigger. I will say the newer Smith & Wesson triggers are a cut above better. They're way better than what they used to be, but Apex does make an absolutely great trigger.
So the other thing I'll do too is I will always run a 2.5 MOA SRO because it's indestructible. I know that the RMR is supposedly more rugged, but I've smacked this thing off of everything under the sun, and I've never been able to do anything to it to break it, and I own 7 of them for a reason. The other thing I'll do is I will also carry with a TLR1 HL, just like you do. Again, I have the same argument. Surefire is a more expensive brand than it's probably the top of the line other than looking like Mod Light or something.
Yeah.
But like actually being able to go out and purchase one X300, I don't like how long the light is. It's so stupid, but I do not like how far out it sticks from my barrel. I understand the purpose behind it, but for the price point, use case, and everything else, I think the TLR1 HL will do anything and everything you want it to do, and whether it's the apocalypse or whether it's just the only thing you could ever have. So why a P10? Why not a Glock? There's Glock behind me. Why not a Canic? Why not a SIG? This gun specifically, a couple of years ago, I wanted to see, when is it going to break? So I ran it without cleaning it, without oiling it, for 7,000 rounds before I started having failure to feed because the carbon buildup on the feed ramp was so bad. It was actually the round were chiseling a avenue to get into the breech.
Digging through the carbon to get into the gun.
It took Kyle 2 hours to clean it. And I was like, well, what's the right wing look like? He goes, there's not much left. I was like, okay, time for a new barrel. Then don't even worry about cleaning it. He's like, I got 2 hours on it. Like,
well, this is also after you'd already been shooting it for years. Then you decided to subject it to this test.
Yes. Yeah. And that was just on a whim. For whatever reason, I've collected P10s over the years, whether I was doing deals or whatnot, people trading them in, and I get them at a good price. I would just buy them because I love them. I have one in the car, I have one in the Jeep, I have one everywhere else. And I was like, screw it. I have an extra barrel running around. Let's see what happens with the factory barrel that's in there and see how long it takes to break. It didn't end up breaking. What did it in was we were shooting content, and I was shooting the 90 grain frangible stuff, and because the blunt nose, it just went and did not want to go in the breech. But I have confidence it could have kept running. I have done so just dirty things to this gun, and it does not stop. I mean, this thing just runs lights out to the point where this is the P10C. Its bigger brother, this P10F right here, get a good look at it because the next time you see it, it's going to be monsoonized. Monsoon is taking care of me with this gun, and they're going to be doing a whole bunch of work to it for me to make it even cooler than the carry. Now, I'm going to go with the carry because of the smaller footprint. This is going to become my new race gun.
You know what I'll do is instead of sitting there and just talking trash on your decision, I'll give you a little bit of affirmation. If it wasn't going to be Smith & Wesson's for me, I would say like the P10 line from CZ, it's got to be pretty dang close up there. Especially
19 ever made.
It's the best Glock 19 ever made. I'll say that it's the feel of the gun, the way that gun feels in the hand straight from the factory, the way that it contours into your hand, the way that it has that aggressive kind of chisel tip texture on the grip. I mean, you have a aftermarket stippling done, but even the factory kind of texture on the grip is amazing.
The factory stippling is actually more aggressive than my stippled job I had.
Exactly.
It's wild. Yeah, I mean, one thing I would like to see from everybody else, and I'm sure Andrew's the same way, if you could only have one handgun to last you the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
And don't just say Glock 19 as a cop-out. Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Be honest. Dig down real deep. What would it really be?
I mean, shit, if you're like Staccato XC,
right?
Even though you don't have the money for a Staccato XC or you don't own one yet, I mean, it's on a bucket list. If that's your gun and you've shot it before and you love everything about them, let us know. Let us know in the comments down below what your one gun to rule them all would be.
One gun.
One single pistol. So should I call it handgun?
Yeah.
Pistols with braces still exist.
We won't talk about those.
Yes. Hopefully no Fed boys are watching. All right, so that brings us towards the end of this thing. We appreciate all you guys for taking the time to listen to us. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to do, if you go have one and why, for pretty much every kind of platform you can think of. We're breaking up carbine versus bolt action, we're shotgun, some other stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we definitely want to hear from you guys. What is your end-all, be-all, only handgun, or what would be your handgun of choice? So without anything else, I think we're pretty much done with this. I do think that when it comes to training, you definitely should put a lot of time and money and effort into training. I mean, you could take something like this and spend thousands of dollars Gucciing up these guns, or you could buy a stock gun, spend that extra money on some ammo, maybe some basic accessory stuff, a nice holster.
That's something that
I go out and practice.
That's something I tell when I teach a CCW class every once in a while. I tell people all the time, if you ever walk into a gun store and you tell a guy behind the counter that you only have $500 and what would he recommend, and the guy tries to sell you a $500 Glock, that is so irresponsible. You should be looking at a pistol that's much cheaper, and then you should be getting some ammo, getting a range pass, get some training in, because I promise you, like my Ed Brown Hellfire Smith & Wesson right here, this is every bit of a few $1,000s for this gun. But I learned how to use this gun by shooting a $400 version of it. And all of that training is what made me want the fancy gun. It wasn't starting right here.
This gun right here is what got me started on the CZs, which led me to build this thing. Same gun.
Exactly.
So, yeah, if your budget's what your budget is, I mean, times are tough. Everybody understands that. But you don't need to go out there and drop all your money on the Gucciest optic, the Gucciest light, the trigger job, all this other stuff. Just like anything else, practice and train from the fundamentals of the basics. Get those nailed down, and then start building up from there.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to stop training, because then you look like a moron on camera.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe.
Yeah. No,
Definitely.
definitely.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. The one thing that the YouTube guys out there and the Instagram guys, they're showing you all the cool hot boy stuff. Yeah, that's about take number 10 because they have buggered it up from, steps 1 through 9. And Lord knows we did too. We got a couple of really cool shots to be able to throw in there to make us look super professional. There's a lot of dumb shit that happened too.
There always is every time you go to the gun range. So
yep, and it was never more apparent than yesterday of, oh my God, I need to train. I think I yelled in that video at least 10 times. We need to train, damn it. So, but yeah, we got to carve out the time to do that. So, but yeah, handgun of choice, what would it be and why? And then take some time and some budget, allocate it to spending money on range time and ammo, and work through some drills. Draws to headshots, draws to hammered pairs, which is 2 rounds. I don't even know what that drill is called. The London drill,
whatever it was,
drill.
the draw to 4.
But yeah, draw 4 rounds, center mass, and 1.4. And don't even worry about your time yet. Just start getting through the muscle mechanics and things like that, working the body mechanics of it, because that is the stuff that is perishable, absolutely perishable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've got probably 30,000 rounds for the P10, and it's on its second barrel now. And yesterday, and it was never more pair. It was coming up, drawing, and then doing this with my hands to try to find the damn dot.
Where's the red dot?
Yeah, it took me a while. So, but do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we pretty much did everything. Get out there, get training, and find yourself a platform. If you don't already have one, find a platform that you're comfortable with, and then get out and use it.
Yeah,
it's I would rather, everybody who owns 10 guns and doesn't train, I'd rather they own one and they actually know how to use it.
100%. We're gonna dive into that a little bit more as we get into ARs and things like that, because handguns is only so much you can do with. Oh my god. So this shit you could attach to a carbine, it will blow your mind. And we're going to go through some of that stuff when we get there, but that's a different video for a different time. But please let us know, like, follow, subscribe on all channels. We are now live on TikTok. So everything's going to be at BSC Newark, with our social media channel on Facebook getting shut down, where we're battening down the hatches at BSC Newark being our handle everywhere. So check us out. We're on Public Square now as well. So you should be able to find us pretty much anywhere under the handle BSC Newark. So give us a holler if you guys need anything. Please let us know what else you guys would like to hear. We'll hopefully be bringing you good content from here forward. Hope you like the studio setup. It's going to continue to improve as we go. But other than that, you got anything?
Just look forward to more if you could only choose ones.
I am too. The carbine one's going to be interesting.
The carbine's going to be the craziest.
Because if you pick up an AK, I'm going to punch you across this table.
I'm so torn.
No, so you're not doing an AK. There's a video to follow on that. But appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. We'll see you soon. .267, reload was 180.
See, sub 2-second reload, it's not bad.
Mine was 1.6, right?
Something like that.
So I'm beating you by a full second right now?
A full second?
I was 1.6.
Yeah, you said I was 1.8.
No, your reload was 1.8.
What's the split? Yeah,
The split is 1.8.
Right. Yours is 1.6.
Okay, so I'm beating you by 0.2 of a second.
Jeez.
And I hit the target.
That's like a full second, man.
You can't just go boom boom.
I'm hitting the target.
Right, shoot right.
Shoot right. Oh, it's an empty mag.
585.
We got it done. 1R1.
Yep.
0.85 or down. 1.6.
That's still bad.
1.6? I mean, it's under 2.
We need to practice.
Under 2?